Good morning, it's today again. Welcome back to Joseph's Reserves. I'm Joseph, and I store 20% of my income in the form of rare coins and precious metals. Have you ever wondered what stage of stacker you're actually in, and what you should be focusing on right now? Most stackers never define this transition. They keep buying the metal and assume progression happens over time. But stacking has stages, and once you've moved beyond beginner, your strategy should change. Today, we're going to clearly define this intermediate stage, and more importantly, I'm going to give you a step-by-step direction of what you should be doing once you arrive here. Congratulations to Maestro Metals for being the first to comment on yesterday's video. Go down into the comments and find him to start a conversation. Yesterday, I got my first paycheck from YouTube. And the book of Proverbs says, "Honor the Lord with your wealth and with the first fruits of all you produce." Other translations say, "all your harvest." And yesterday was my first harvest. So I plan to honor the Lord by running a giveaway on my channel. I'm going to be announcing what is in the giveaway in tomorrow's video, as well as how to enter yourself into this giveaway. The winner is going to be picked on the live in March 7th. And this also happens to be my 1-year anniversary of YouTube. There are going to be more details to come, so stay tuned. So now let's get into the video. Today we're talking about when you move from a beginner stacker to an intermediate stacker, and this happens when your emergency reserves are completed. This is going to be a completely different number for each individual, but the idea is that your insurance deductibles are covered. Any disruptions like loss of transportation, loss of housing, all of that is covered. Your short-term shock is handled, and you're no longer stacking out of fear. You're stacking from stability. And this is the line. Once you know you're here, your mindset is going to start to shift. It's going to move away from covering basic needs and into strategy of long-term holds. You now start to form your deep stack and your surface stack. And that's the difference between stuff that you will probably never sell and stuff that you're willing to sell in the case of an emergency. Before this, it was kind of all of it was in case of an emergency, and now you're moving beyond that point. And now is the time to start really focusing on your strategy. So, where do we start? The first thing I would do as an immediate stacker is to define your allocation. And that could be between different metals, it could be between your surface stack and your deep stack, it could be between collectible and highly liquid silver. But the important part is to not just do it in your head, do it on paper, write it down, have it concrete somewhere. Ask yourself, what percentage of my stack do I want to be X, Y, and Z? What percentage do I want to be silver? What percentage do I want to be gold? Do I want to adjust this ratio based on the gold to silver ratio, or will I keep it fixed? For example, you could choose 60% silver and 40% gold, or 70-30. You could also choose a sliding scale based on how the gold to silver ratio moves. You could also pick a fixed number of ounces in your ratio. But here's the thing. You just have to define what you are personally going to do. Without this definition, you are going to drift. You're going to naturally buy things that feel cheaper, which is not a bad strategy, but you are going to be moving all over the place because the prices move independently. Gold doesn't move exactly the same as silver, and spot price won't appreciate the same way as a highly collectible coin. So this is where writing down exactly what you want to do will help a lot. And of course, you can change this over time. If the gold to silver ratio was to be cut in half tomorrow, obviously that might change a strategy quite a lot. What I suggest here is assessing your risk tolerance, and that's going to be moving as you age also. Younger people have quite a lot more time in the game left to absorb all the volatility. Whereas older people that are closer to retirement or trying to liquidate this soon, might want a lot more stability, meaning a lot more gold. A lot more of their portfolio would be in gold, whereas a younger person might want a lot more in silver or platinum. And this is where your personality is going to enter your stack. You shouldn't be blindly following what someone else does. It's up to you to intentionally set your parameters. But what's important is to understand the role that gold plays. So you set your emergency fund in silver, and now your emergencies are covered. And now it's time to introduce gold or deep stack silver into this purpose. Not as a reaction of hype and not because it feels like it's time, but because this is when you need value density. Gold has a lot more value in the same space. Gold also has a lot less volatility, meaning it's a lot more stable of a monetary metal. Gold should act as your long-term holding, your slow and steady increase over time. So this could look like adding fractional gold monthly or allocating a set percentage of your purchases into gold. It could look like converting silver into gold when the ratios compress. The most important part here is to be intentional, be strategic, and stick to your plan. And once you have your plan and you're sticking to it, another important thing is to track. Not obsessively, but just clearly. Track your total ounces, your average cost per ounce, your allocation percentages, and how much you've paid overall. You don't need a spreadsheet that consumes your life. You just need to be aware. As long as you have some sort of documentation, either the receipts that you paid, or if you do make a spreadsheet, it can be very helpful. You can't manage what you don't measure. And if you have no idea what money you've put into it, you have no idea when you're breaking even or when you would actually be able to take a profit. My next point is that as an intermediate stacker, you need to start understanding premium, what it comes from, and how it can help or damage your stack. At the beginner stage, paying a few extra dollars is not catastrophic, but at this intermediate stage, efficiency compounds. Now you begin optimizing. Compare premiums, buy larger denominations when appropriate, avoid the unnecessary novelty pieces unless that's something you really want in your deep stack. At this point, you're not only looking at the price that day, but you're also considering what this piece is going to be valued at when it is time to sell. Will it maintain that premium, or is it completely lost because this somewhat collectible silver is actually going to be considered a generic ounce when it's time to sell? This discipline over premium will add up over years, so optimizing will compound exponentially. When you're an intermediate stacker, you start to settle into this calmness, and really that's done because of your allocation. Silver can drop 30% and gold can just stall for years. Markets move in these big cycles. So now is where you decide what you're going to allocate into what direction. If you're emotionally shaken by big price swings, then you're probably not allocating in the right way. You're not operating strategically as to your emotional output. Calm stacking outperforms emotional stacking. And this calm reaction is a huge focus for intermediate stackers. If you talk to anyone who's been stacking for a while, even after a big drop, they are calm about the price. An experienced intermediate stacker, even in the face of a bear market, will still be calm. They might make some moves, either from one metal to the next, or selling some, but those are strategic, calculated moves that have always been a part of the plan. And speaking of the plan, you don't need to execute your exit strategy in order to be an intermediate stacker, but you do need to define one. Ask yourself, if I need liquidity, what do I sell first? Where would I sell? Which pieces move the fastest? Which carry the lowest spread? Answering these questions will help you understand which portion of your stack you can move either into the dollar, into another metal, or however it fits your plan the best. The key is to know the answer to these questions before you need them. And this is the difference between stacking in the form of just accumulation versus stacking with a system design. And based off questions in the comments, I know people are already going to be asking, well, what about platinum or other metals? And platinum can be explored, but only after your allocation is defined, your gold position is developing, and your silver foundation is stable. Platinum is optional, and gold and silver are structural. Speculation should never replace the foundation of your stack. So yes, there is room for these platinum group metals. However, I believe that you should have your foundation in silver and gold set before you start allocating anything into the platinum group metals. But of course, this is all going to be determined off your allocation percentages or how you choose to allocate your stack on your terms. If you want only 10% of your stack in gold, the rest in silver and platinum, and you can emotionally handle the type of volatility that would come with a portfolio shaped that way, then by all means, that is your stack. For me personally, I like a bit more into gold. I like a lot of silver and a little bit of speculation in platinum, but that is me personally. So when do you leave this intermediate stage? This is a lot more difficult to define. It's not a set number of ounces. It's not a set dollar amount that you can calculate and find out, oh, it's this many months of income. This one is a mindset shift. This is when you stop thinking about the metals as your stack and start thinking about what these metals mean for your family. You stop thinking about decades and you start thinking about generations. I'll get a lot more detailed into what advanced stacking means and looks like in the next video, so stay tuned. I just made my own line of coffee. Joseph's Reserves It's Today Again coffee. Most mornings aren't dramatic. They're quiet. You wake up, pour yourself a cup, and now you have a choice. Drift through the day or take hold of what's in front of you. That's really what this whole thing's about. Showing up, building good habits, staying disciplined in the small things. Whether that's stacking consistently, learning something new, or just being faithful with what you've been given. I put these words on every bag to remind myself first. Every morning is a gift. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, today. So take a breath, take a sip, and let's get to work. It's today again. You can now write me at Joseph's Reserves, 10160 Highway 242, Suite 800, number 401 in Conroe, Texas, zip code 77385. Make sure to include your information so I can write you back. If you liked today's video, make sure you go down and give it a thumbs up and share it to someone else you think might like it. For any questions or comments, go down into the comment section and subscribe if you haven't already. But most of all, thank you so much for watching, and just remember, every ounce adds up, so no matter how small, just keep stacking.